Salve, and welcome. Today we are in the second chapter of John, taking a look at verse 13 and going through about the middle of the page. It's going to end us at the very end of verse 14. This is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. Et prope erat Pascha Judae orum et ascendit Jesus Jerusalemam et invenit in templo vendentes boves et oves et columbus et numularios sedentes. And that's as far as we're going to make it today. The very first thing that we have is a conjunction. Quite frequently nice. Pretty easy to translate. Next we want to find our verb. Prope, nope, that's a preposition or sometimes an adverb. Here we have erat. Erat is, of course, something that we've run into a bazillion times before, so I'm not going to bother parsing it. It's just imperfect. Was prope, since it's got a verb separating it from pascha, has to be an adverb, or at least according to the normal rules, has to be an adverb. Rules are kind of fungible, if that's the right term. Near is how we would translate this. Pascha, Judaeorum et. Looks like we've got a different clause starting right here, so pascha is our only option for our subject, and I don't think this word declines. I just have to label that. This is from Hebrew. Passover. Judaeorum. Orum here is clearly a genitive plural ending, and it's going to be masculine. Oops, missing the plural there. Of the, no articles, Jews. And there is our first clause. We move ahead. Jesus here is clearly our subject with the US ending. And he is ascendit. This comes from ascendo, ascendere. And now I don't remember if it's ascendi. Yeah, it's got to be ascendi. So this is going to be one of those third conjugation ones where the perfect tense and the present tense are indistinguishable. And we'll just have to write them both down. So that's going to be third from the IT, singular, present or perfect, active, indicative, climbs or climbed, or it's cognate, ascends, ascended. And then we have hard to pronounce word, Jerusalemam, which again is another word that I think is indeclinable. It looks like it could be an accusative plural feminine, and it might be. It could be that I'm forgetting exactly how this word functions, but I'm going to assume indeclinable, speaking of which. Indec. Put probable, indeclinable here. But since we've got motion here, this is going to be motion towards. Sins, I put the word to or up to. We've got the idea of going uphill. Oh gosh. Brain is blanking on how to spell this. It's not an O, it's an A. Oh boy. It has been a long week. Alright, so there's our first verse in its own context. And Passover of Jews was near, and Jesus climbed up to Jerusalem. And verse 14, and when it, there's a verb right there, that's very nice. IT again, I'm not going to parse that. Except, when, and when, yeah, it's got the same problem as this, so not parsing except present or perfect tense. That's one thing that we'll have to figure out when we take a look at the Greek. Finds or found, discovers, discovered, looking ahead. No obvious options as a singular to be our subject, so Jesus is still going to be our subject here, which means we can move on. In is a preposition. Templo here ends in an O, so in is going to be taking the ablative case. Let's take a look ahead. When dentes is not ablative, clearly, nor is it genitive, so it can't be part of this prepositional phrase. So we close that off, and we can go ahead and translate it, though normally I would leave these until last. In temple, And I believe temple is neuter, ablative, singular, neuter. This is going to be place where. So accusative shows us place to which, within. Now we need an object for in when t. Sorry, in when it, not in when t, gosh. And we have perfect options in here. Columbus is the only obvious accusative. However, taking a look at all these ets, we know that whatever Columbus is, everything also has to be and vice versa. Columbus comes from Columba, so it's a feminine first declension. As can only be accusative plural. Which means that all of the rest of the things connected to Columbus also have to be the same form. So always, though es here could be nominative or accusative plural, accusative is the only option. So also boes and vendentes, that may not fit. We'll come to that in a moment, but accusative, except boes is also feminine. See, I don't have to modify that. Boes, this one comes from bous. I'll write that up here. The Greek word, and bous doesn't really have a designated gender because it refers to cow kind in general. So it's both masculine and feminine depending on which one you're talking about. So in my research into this word, it appears to be the exact same. So masculine or feminine. Taking a look over here, numerarios, os is clearly the same form. And this is going to be masculine. Just need to specify that. And then we have two words left to take a look at, and that's vendentes and sedentes. Vendentes could be nominative or accusative plural. We know it can't be nominative because we've got a singular verb here and Jesus is our subject, so accusative is obvious. It's plural. Wendo nt here tells us that this is a present tense. It is active because they don't have passive present participles. And then this one, nt, is going to be the exact same, so I'm going to parse that either instead. Arrow down to that to show the same form. Now we have to ask, well, what are these modifying? Vendentes could be modifying boes, oes, columbas, since these together, since boes could be considered masculine, would mean that any participle modifying it would be masculine. Well, we can't even tell because it's the third anyway. And then you've got numularios, which is clearly masculine. And since this participle is right next to it, I would assume that these two go together. And then it just comes down to the meaning to determine what this actually goes with, if it can go with these, or if that doesn't make any sense. Well, this one means selling, so, and Jesus finds, or found, in temple, oxen and doves, no, oxen and sheep and doves selling. No, they're not going to be doing the selling there because this is reality, not one of Aesop's fables. So these have to, in fact, be the object of this, and this has to be the object of in when it. So this is going to be direct object, and then these are going to be, well, there's probably an English term for what they are, but I'm not familiar with it. So they're going to be secondary direct objects subordinate to this one. And rather than just translating at the base selling, we're going to say those, for clarity's sake in English, which is something you can do. Selling. And then boes and sheep and doves or pigeons. Et. We'll come to that word in a minute. First thing I want to deal with is boes. The interesting thing about the Latin version of bus is it doesn't just mean oxen or cows. In my extensive research into this, I discovered that apparently there's a variety of different things that this can be used to mean. I could be getting the author wrong here, because it's abbreviated form in the dictionary, but I think Lucretius uses boes to mean elephant at one point. And then other people have used this to mean a strap or a whip made of leather, so it's related to oxen. And then somebody, and then I didn't see who, uses this to refer to some sort of flat fish, like a flounder. I guess. So we have a variety of interesting options here. Of course, have oxen. Then we have bullock. Then we have elephant. And flatfish. They're mostly for fun. Okay, moving on. Now to numularios. This is a curious word. I checked the 3 dictionaries that I brought with me, and none of them have this in there. So that would be short, and then Cassell, and this other one called Stelton, which is a ecclesiastical Latin dictionary. It's pretty small. So none of them had anything in there. And I know what this means because I've already looked at the Greek, but the question is, where does this come from? What exactly does this mean? And so in my research into that, going through short, I came up with a couple different options. Now I'm going to pull my notes over. I've got everything on here that I don't know off the top of my head. So there's all the stuff about Boas. It's kind of fun. So numularios, it's masculine in form, obvious, because the OS right there as the ending. What I think it comes from is the word I misspelled right there. Gosh. It's numus with 2 M's. It's masculine and it means coin. And I think this version of it is just missing an M. That will frequently happen, which is annoying. The suffix is arius, or just R-I-U-S, and it's possible that it comes from arilatur, which sometimes has 2 L's, which means haggler, or this interesting old English word, chafferer, which is really cool. It just means somebody who haggles over a price. And then a comparative word to this one, what I actually expected to find in this passage is argentarius, which you'll note has the same A-R-I-U-S ending. Looking through short, I couldn't figure out any suffix in there, and wheellock didn't have anything in its suffixes section at the end of the book. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, other than just having to do with whatever the adjective or noun tacked onto the front is. So numus, having to do with coin, a coin changer. Argent, having to do with silver, another coin changer, or a banker. So that's what numularios means. And unless you have a medieval Latin dictionary, I don't think you're going to find it in any of the old dictionaries. So masculine, I already parsed that, so that's going to be money changer from, I'm misspelling it again, numus for coin. Moving on, sedentes is the same form as that, modifying that, and it just means sitting. There we go. That's the end of everything we're going to look at. Let's take a look at it in the only context we have so far. And Passover of Jews, no article, was near. And Jesus climbed up to Jerusalem, and he found in the temple those selling flatfish, elephants, bullocks, or oxen, it's going to be bullocks, those selling bullocks and sheep and doves. And we would repeat the verb again. He found money changers sitting. And there we go. That's everything that we're going to look through today. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a good day, and keep your eye out for fun words like that one right there and weird ones like that. Have a good day. Wale. Not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.